Let me say one thing. Let me say one thing. Your voice annoys me. There's something about it. I just want to punch you in the face. My mom could probably beat you in it. You want to be tough? I bet my mom could beat you in an MMA fight. My mom will tap you out in 35 seconds. Mama Callihan will come to California and tap you out in 35 seconds.
Well, I'm not in California.
35 seconds.
I'm in St. Louis. In St. Louis, we don't fuck around with you guys East to West Coast bullshit because you're all pussies. Here we're the #1 STD, #1 in murders, #1 in high crime. All you guys are fucking playing. So just you can keep running your mouths about who's gonna beat me, and no one's gonna fucking beat me up. It's a I mean, you know, I could be beaten up, but it's gonna be by an MMA guy, not by some big blown up pro wrestler.
I can tap you out. I will tap you out in 11 seconds. In the ring with me in 11 seconds. I'll show you what professional wrestling is all about.
No. To me, you're a little guy. To me, you know. So I mean, you're 200.
How about you go? How about you just go eat some cheese fries and watch some TV and drink some beer and be unathletic? Why don't you go do that?
No. See, that's just it. That's just it. I'm not that way. I'm a big guy, not a big deathmatch fat guy. I'm a fucking guy that works out and is big and rolls it and MMA style. This pro wrestling shit to me, Violence Jack is the pro wrestling guy. Violence Jack's too drunk to be on tonight. He's the pro wrestling guy. He's the TNA guy. He's the guy that loves this shit. I think most fucking pro wrestlers are too blown up bodybuilders. They're just too big to really have fun.
And that's where professional wrestling is changing. That's why it's my generation that's going to revolutionize and take over pro wrestling. It's not about bodybuilders anymore. It's not about who's the biggest, who's the tallest. You know what it's about now? It's about who hits the hardest. You know what it's about? It's who has the most aggression. It's about who's going to go out there and freaking get toe-to-toe every freaking day of the week, no matter if they're beat up, no matter if they're hurt. I don't care who's out there. If I'm hurt, I'm still going to go out there and give 110%, and me giving 110% is better than most people giving 150%.
Well, I like that. I like what you're saying, because I agree with that, in that I just watched on Monday night this TNA come up against the WWE. WWE is all blown up bodybuilders. TNA, the top 5 guys, are not blown up guys. They are just guys that are really good.
And this is you talking out your ass. Yes, WWE's only blown up bodybuilders. WWE has some of the best workers in the entire world. So anyone that gets to WWE, they have to have something. Okay, anyone out there, CM Punk, Matt Sydal, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, you may like them, you may not like them, but they're some of the best wrestlers in the fucking world.
No, I'll tell you who their best guys are. You're talking about CM Punk, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, The Undertaker after he's dropped his 50 pounds of muscle. All those guys are trimmed down, not bodybuilders. Who's the shittiest? Chris Masters. All the huge guys are shitty. They're terrible. They do have like 5 or 6 of the top fucking guys. But who's great at TNA? AJ Styles.
It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna go out there. I'm not gonna go out there and talk shit about like anyone in WWE or TNA, because you know what? Me and you are sitting at home right now, and I'm busting my ass on the indies while all these guys are collecting fat ass paychecks and traveling around the world on someone else's dime. So I'm not gonna say one bad thing about someone going out there and making a living.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying the quality of the fights is not as good as, say, Ring of Honor, where all the guys are kind of trimmed down. You don't have any really big guys in every match, almost every match. I go see Ring of Honor when they come around here. I go see them every time, and almost every single match is fucking amazing. Like, you just see it, and it's like, well, fuck, I could never do any of that shit. You know, just nothing even close to it. And then you see, but then you see some of the shit on Monday night. It's just like, ugh. Do you have eyes on going to either of those 2 companies ever?
I would love to go. You know, that's the dream for any professional wrestler, and that's where we all strive to be able to make a living in this professional wrestling business, be able to have some sort of stability instead of like always going out and killing ourselves every week for little to no money in independent wrestling. Like, that's everyone's goal, and for anyone to go out and say, oh, I don't ever want to go to WWE, or oh, I don't ever want to go to TNA, that's fucking stupid, because anyone out there that's a professional wrestler would give their left nut to be signed right now and be making a fat-ass paycheck and have perfect job stability at the moment. Especially with today's government, especially with today's money issues and financial issues. Anytime like money comes involved, like I'm going to do anything to be able to feed my family when I get older. I'm going to do anything that I can do to support my wife Like, that's what you got to do, and that's the bottom line.
Is it possible in CZW or ROH or the Indies period for a guy to make a living? I know there's a lot of guys listening right now that are probably like, man, I'd love to be a wrestler, man. You know, because I'm sure you hear it almost every fucking time you go out or you go to the bar. About fucking 50 guys probably ask you about being a wrestler or how they could do it themselves or whatever. Is it possible to even make a living, a professional living, even at, you know, not like a lower middle income type of a thing on Ring of Honor, CZW, or the indie circuits up in the
Absolutely. You just got to be in the right place at the right time. You got to know where to put your money and how to use it.
Yeah, because I know on the East Coast there are a ton of indies, whereas this guy K-Ross calls up from the West Coast, and we get West Coast wrestlers on all the time, and I always ask them, they probably don't even have a shot for the most part of going to TNA or WWE at all, because the WWE and TNA aren't going to want to fly them in. They probably don't have that many feelers out on the West Coast either. And I always ask them, don't you want to move to Tampa or Philadelphia or New York or somewhere on the East Coast? And most of them say that's probably the way to go. So you're in the right spot.
And that's exactly what I did. I'm Ohio. I'm a farm boy, born and raised, and you know I did what I have to do. I got out of the Midwest and I got over to the East Coast, and things have been kicking ever since.
And I read though that from Ohio you were in the Heartland Wrestling. That was the Les Thatcher group, right? He trains a lot of these guys.
Yeah, it's the Les Thatcher group. But when I was there, Les wasn't there that often. He came in like maybe like once a week, once every other week. I was mainly trained by Shark Boy, Cody Hawk, John Moxley, and I really got a chance to work with people like Nigel McGuinness and Chad Collier and BJ Whitmer and Matt Stryker. And being able to be there, and as young as I am, to be able to absorb all the knowledge from people like that, that's why I am the way I am today. That's why I'm so stubborn for this business. That's why I have so much respect for this business, because that's the way I was brought up.
When you have matches in CZW, do you think that is in any way? Is there ever any kind of scouting going on that you know of from TNA or WWE? Because they obviously have their feelers on Ring of Honor right now. But to me, CZW is just like right below as far as exposure goes, is just right below. But do you think that the big companies just say, CZW is just violent shit? Because we get guys on like Chris Hammer and Kid Cash. They think of Ring of Honor as nothing but flips and fucking high dives and all kinds of shit. They don't even know that it's like great wrestlers like Nigel McGuinness and stuff like that. Do you think that TNA and WWE don't even think of CZW as having good matches? Because I've seen a lot of the shows and there's good matches and violent matches too.
Well, that's what's so great about CZW. CZW has the best in every kind of wrestling. Like, in today's day and age, you can't just be one style wrestler. You can't just be a strong style wrestler. You can't just be an old school wrestler. You can't just be a freaking submission wrestler. You can't just be a deathmatch wrestler. Wrestling's evolving, and what you got to do is people have to become hybrid wrestlers. They have to be able to wrestle every style. Like, because later down the road, it's going to be way harder to get a job as a wrestler if you can only do one thing. If you go to, like, Japan and they're like, we need you to do this, and you're like, oh, I only have matches like that, they're going to be like, oh, well, fuck you, we'll find somebody else. What people don't understand is right now, this year is going to be the breakout year of the hybrid wrestler. People that's going to be able to go out there and wrestle lucha. People that's going to be able to go out there and wrestle old school matches. People that's going to be able to go out there and wrestle death matches. People that's going to be able to go out there and go toe-to-toe in some of the hardest-hitting American strong style matches there is. Because that's what wrestling is becoming. It's becoming who's the best and who can do everything.
Well, this is something that I have always thought about deathmatch wrestling. A lot of the matches are very, very shitty, so it's hard to even get into them because the guys just can't do anything. But then I look at somebody like Hayabusa, who I think every deathmatch wrestler should look at, because this guy could do everything. He had a great match inside of a deathmatch. He could take the deathmatch whole thing and then put it into great high flying with wrestling and deathmatch stuff. That's a guy, before he got paralyzed, that's the guy that I think that that's a hybrid wrestler to me. I think he's great, and I hope that that's where you are saying that the CZW kind of style is going.
Well, look at it this way. You got Drake Younger, who's leading the charge. He's a CZW heavyweight champion. Look, he's won Tournament of Death. Oh, guess what else? He's won the most prestigious